Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Spirit of Success. I'm your host, Yara, and on today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Kevin Locke, a world-renowned hoop dancer, Indigenous Northern Plains flutist, recording artist, traditional storyteller, educator, and Lakota cultural ambassador. Hi, Mr. Locke. How are you today?
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us today, and I am super excited for our conversation. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing careers related to traditional arts, education, preservation, and service. So, Mr. Locke, it is no question that you are someone with an amazing variety of talents. But before we delve into your career more so, we would love to know how your interest in all these areas began.
My interest in our traditional culture was engendered by just associating with people who grew up within that. And so in my youth, I was able to associate with people that were born, in the 19th century. Even my grandparents were born in the 19th century. And so even though those, the indigenous peoples, languages, and cultures were nearly eradicated through official U.S. government policy, there were people that survived, remnants survived, and also even though the languages and cultures were officially suppressed and outlawed, they all of these things went underground. Many of these things went underground. So then there were people around who had these, like I always think of these cultural warriors who persevered and kept these realities alive. And for me in my younger years, these people were my heroes, my role models and mentors, people that I really looked up to and admired. And so I didn't really think of anything with regard to like a career, but it was just for me always an inspiration to have that kind of foundation. And later on, I was involved. I became an elementary school teacher, and I was involved in what's called Teacher Corps, which is one of the Great Society programs initiated during the administration of President John F. Kennedy, and then after his assassination, it was continued. And you may be aware of some of those so-called Great Society programs, like maybe Peace Corps, Head Start.
Yeah.
There's others like AmeriCorps. There's actually quite a few of them, but they're not coming to the top of my head. But anyway, I got involved in what's called Teacher Corps, and that was through the University of North Dakota Center of Teaching and Learning. And so then, it was just kind of like on-the-job training. So then I was just based right there at the Standing Rock Elementary School in Fort Yates. There on my in the kind of like the agency community there on Standing Rock, where I'm from. And so basically we did mostly just hands-on elementary teaching. And frankly, I had a hard time with my, how would you say that, classroom management, in other words, discipline. so then I found that the natural thing for me to do to engage the students or refocus the students was to do activities that involved our local culture, like storytelling, different traditional games, music, dancing, things like that. Things that I had actually learned from, the right there in the community, and, the kids from their relatives, from their grandparents and so forth. So that usually would catch their attention. And so this is how I began to kind of develop a way of interacting with the students and creating some interest and creating the enthusiasm with them, and, minimizing the discipline problems. But I began to do that, and then eventually the the state arts councils, like the North Dakota Council on the Arts and the South Dakota Arts Council, they were they had federal guidelines, mandates, and since that our whole region has a huge indigenous population, they were eager to find personnel to address that element of their service population, the tribal schools. And so then somehow I got connected with those state arts councils and began to do a lot of like workshops and seminars and performances for the kids and things like that. And so I started doing that, and it eventually it kind of began to expand or snowball, and I began doing a lot of international trips. And so subsequently, from that beginning back in the 70s up till now, I've been to, I think it's 97 different countries,
Wow.
performing and touring and things. I never thought of it as a career. It's just something, it was something that I just kind of fell into. I wasn't pursuing any of that. And the doors just opened. And I think that's my takeaway, is that we all have certain type of interests, special interests, or things that attract us. Mm-hmm. And I think if we can pursue those and develop those abilities, those talents, then doors will begin to open for us, especially if we have the intent of being of service. I think that's the key, because that's our, as human beings, our highest station is to be of service, And I know one of the themes of your series is about success.
Yes.
Success. And so if you look at the surrounding dominant culture, especially through the media and things like that, we see kind of like imagery portrayed of success, and it has a lot to do with acquisition of power, acquisition of wealth. It's a very materialistic definition of success. But I think, like you and I, we know that really the pinnacle of success is to be able to be of service, and that is to be to somehow be able to harness our ego and to develop our capacities and to our God-given, unique capacities, and to offer these for the well-being and betterment of not just our family, our community, but of humankind. And so then, as we pursue this goal of being successful, many times we have to go against the flow.
Yes.
For instance, let's say you're a musician, a different kind of musician. So then, if you're into music, let's say you like rock and roll, then you might want to go to Liverpool, England, or maybe go to New York, or maybe you like ballet. Well, then you've got to go to Moscow or Paris, or maybe you like jazz music. So then you've got to go to New Orleans or maybe to Chicago. You see, but I think a lot of times, in order to be successful, we have to do the opposite thing.
Yeah.
We have to do the opposite thing. We have to, pursue that interest, but maybe if you're whatever kind of music you're involved in, maybe the best thing to do is to go to an area where they really need human resources, talented human resources. And that might be maybe some rural area of North America. It could be any country in Africa, West Africa. It could be anywhere in Asia. Go to that place and connect with those people. And then something beautiful, unique, something unknown will develop.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, but as long as you have that goal of service, things will work out. Of course, I'm not saying there won't be tests and difficulties, but that's part of the journey that we're all on anyway. Yeah.
Very
Would you
true.
agree with that?
Yeah, no, 100%.
And the Universal House of Justice has mentioned folk arts in one of their S.1 messages. I can't recall which. It's a few years back, as a way to reach people on every level all over the world. So it really is, because it does really accentuate our relatedness, our oneness, and also the universal themes. Universal themes, you call them virtues or values. So that's what that's what I found. The traditional arts that I use, they are mostly focused on themes like the springtime, and
Yeah.
this is one of the main metaphors in the writings of the faith, is the divine springtime. So this time that we're living in now is described as the springtime that autumn shall never overtake. So even though now we can look around and we can see that these countervailing forces of disintegration seem to be escalating. And so, but if you didn't know better, you'd think, well, everything's just getting worse and worse. But we know better, so we know that we go through this period, and it's a requisite in order to enter into that springtime. So this is where we're headed. We're headed. So we just have to align ourselves with the forces of integration. So all of us can do that. That's the key to success. It's really the key to success is to consciously align ourselves with the forces of integration. So all of us can do that, because we're put on this planet at this most unique, special moment in human history. And we have these gifts, especially the young people have these gifts. You're created for this moment in time, created especially for this. So these unique gifts that all you young people have are meant for this period that we're in. So you have like these keys that will unlock the mysteries surrounding the seemingly desperate plight that we're in. I'll tell you something, Yara. I recently had this dream, and I had this dream, and in this dream I was visiting with one of my buddies, my same age, and I'm in my upper 60s now, and so one of my buddies, and anyway, so we were just making small talk, chit chatting, and then this young guy came, and I suppose he's like maybe 13 or 14 or around that age, and this young guy came in, and oh gosh, he brought us water, and he brought us some coffee, and he came in, he brought some food, different kind of snacks like that. He's just very attentive and very wonderful young guy. So then I asked my buddy, I said, Koshkala Kakile Takuicha. Who is this young guy and what's his name? Oh, he said, Le Koshkala Kakile He Takujak Paku. Onaha Lila Atkuku Hunku Chash Tokcha Chash Kitompe. Anyway, I'll just say it in English. You're just having a conversation in our language. And anyway, I said, well, this young man, who is this? And he said, well, that's my grandson. That's my grandson. I said, well, what's his name? Oh, he says, his parents gave him a really unusual name. He said, they named him, his name is, and I'd never heard this before. His name is Mumtaz. His name is Mumtaz. And so then, so that kind of, that word stuck in my mind. So then I woke up and I told my wife this dream, and I asked her if she'd ever heard this word, mumtaz. So my wife is from Turkey.
Mhm.
I asked her about that. She says, "Oh yeah, mumtaz." She says that's actually an Arabic word. Mumtaz, the way we use it in Turkish, she said it means like outstanding, or it means excellent,
Yeah.
something like this, exceptional. Is that right? You
Yeah.
understand that?
Arabic, we use it the same way, like when somebody does something well.
So then I asked my wife. I said, so in the context of that dream that I had, how would you interpret this? This young man whose name is Mumtaz, and so in that context, how would you interpret it? Oh, she says that's easy. Easy. What that dream means is that you and your buddy, that other guy, she says, you guys are all washed up. She says, you guys had your time, had your day, you had your opportunity to do something, and you lost it, you blew it. She says, now what that dream means, it's time for you guys to step aside. These young people, this is their day. This is their day to stand up, to step up, and make things happen now. It's their day to do the outstanding deeds and to perform the services that they are equipped now to perform. And so, so this is what that dream means. Of course, I think that older people, we can be in a supportive role. We can try to encourage, be like cheerleaders. We can do that. Yeah. But people such as yourself who have these capacities and understandings, it's really good.
Thank you very much. And you definitely have made your mark, and you definitely have made a huge contribution. And you continue to make a huge contribution. Which, if you're ready, let's talk a little bit about that. In 2018, you founded the Patricia Locke Foundation in honor and memory of your mother, who was a very accomplished and prominent individual, to
Mhm.
empower children, youth, and young adults to take charge of their spiritual and material destiny through
Mhm.
Indigenous cultural arts programming and education to help foster well-being and unleash their potentials. Can you please share some more about the foundation with us and the work you have all been doing?
Yeah, well, that's really the underlying goal of the foundation, which is to create continuity for those the vision and the energies that my mom was involved in, in all different spheres, but it has to do with like just uh, empowerment and education and progress, and just releasing these potentialities that indigenous people have, who have been the most marginalized, most oppressed uh, population in well, not just North America, but really throughout the hemisphere. And so anyway, I know that's kind of grandiose to want to have that kind of a systemic change, but so then we're just trying to do things incrementally to provide educational support. And now one of the things that we're doing, which is in our communities around Standing Rock, we have a new crisis with regard to providing food and nutrition. So one of the initiatives we have through our foundation is to do school community gardens, and through modern technology, you can do these tower gardens, which is aeroponic gardening system. It's their grow towers, and you can use these special kind of lights that provide the elements of sunlight that enable really an abundance of food to be produced all throughout the winter. Of course, it has to be indoors. You have to have it, but the schools are a perfect environment for that. So we have several of these tower gardens going in the local schools around Standing Rock. Now, even though they're virtual for the most part, the not all the kids can be involved, but we can rotate the kids and bring them in. And it's highly motivational for the
Oh,
kids to see all these plants growing. And of
yeah.
course, the staff is very, very supportive. And we're doing it in partnership with the county extension office, which is in part in the they're sponsored by the North Dakota State University. That's in Fargo. But anyway, we have a great support staff there. So this model can be replicated all throughout the area, because it's not just in our area where this food desert is occurring, but it's all around the region. And so it's really a catastrophic results of this the lack of proper nutrition. So we can see all the things, like diabetes, hypertension, obesity, things like this that are the result of the lack of good nutrition. So this is one of the things that people have to be healthy physically in order to advance spiritually or culturally or
Yeah.
in any other way as well. So this is one of the immediate initiatives we're doing, and so we invite people to take a look at that and support us. It's really good, and it's going for a really good cause. And like I said, we want to just expand that out
Yeah.
from our initial stages now.
If you'd like to support this amazing initiative, stay tuned to the end and we'll let you know where you can donate and help them out to expand this amazing project and
Mm-hmm.
continue supporting the work of the Patricia Locke Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I know in addition to the gardens, especially during quarantine now, the foundation has hosted a bunch of different mini series
Mm-hmm.
to teach about Indigenous culture, music, sensitivity training given for teachers and people who'd like to learn more. Can you talk a little bit about that with us and kind of what the mini series look like?
Yeah. Well, there are several of them, and for instance, one of them would be a mini series on indigenous music. And so, just like if you really want to get to the heart of any culture or people, then you have to find out about their music, because that really gets right to the core of things. And so, this is a mini series, and initially we're focusing on 15 different songs, and so then we really explore kind of the inner significance of those songs, the the deeper cultural meaning, the spiritual meaning, the universal themes. Especially want to focus on universal themes, and then the also how to play those on the flute, how to sing the songs, and how to play them on the flute. And so this is one of the goals, is to revitalize the indigenous flute that's been used here in North America for many generations. So that's one of the goals that we have there with that mini series. And so it is exploring universal themes, because after all, all these series are designed that way. So we have another one which is about storytelling, and just like every culture on the planet, their storytelling traditions are parallel, and they introduce, like characters that are parallel. Just like, I'll give you an example, like a trickster character,
Yeah.
trickster. So tricksters all over the world. Like if you're from a European heritage or background, then probably the trickster character most familiar is the big bad wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Big bad. So the big bad wolf is, like in Little Red Riding Hood is there. Three Little Pigs is there. Well, they use the fox, but Gingerbread Man is it's in there. It's all over,
Yeah.
and so really every culture throughout the world has this. It symbolizes the insistent self,
Yeah.
the unbridled ego, and then all the machinations and all the webs of intrigue, and how at the end that trickster character always ensnares himself. So they're very educational,
Yeah.
very educational. But that's just an example. So then there's a whole array of different characters that surface all around the world, and we have them too here in North America. So then we just introduced some of those, and the different songs and different things associated with them. And but the most important thing is to identify the universal themes there that connect all of us. And
Yeah.
then along with that, we've developed like they're kind of like pedagogically sequenced, and we have the different study questions that develop comprehension, reading and writing exercises, and discussion exercises to develop, advanced thinking about some of
Yeah.
these different topics. Yeah, so we're developing all those, and so these are the mini series. Developing several like that. But the whole theme is to again to accentuate universal themes, but also one of the things that's really needed in the world to do today, especially in the U.S., is diversity training,
Yeah.
uh, like unity and diversity, and because even though in the United States, realistically, the typical person living in the United States is never going to meet or have any kind of meaningful interaction with an indigenous North American person. It's just reality. But that's not important to. It's not. I don't think it's really important for people to have as their takeaway learning about indigenous North American culture. But the thing is that no matter who you are, not just in the US, but everywhere on the planet, you have to deal with diversity.
Yes.
You have to, yeah. Somebody who's different, like culturally, linguistically different from yourself. It's an issue that you can run from, but you can't hide.
Yeah.
There's no place you can hide on the planet. This is the kind of the light motif of our age,
Yeah.
is how do we adjust to diversity? And probably the culture which is most foreign, most alien to the U.S. dominant culture is the indigenous North American culture. It's the most different. So it's a good starting place.
No, definitely. And I'm currently taking one too right now. I'm taking the Indigenous songs and their meanings. Uh,
Yeah,
and so far, I love the course. I'm not surprised.
yeah, good.
Always amazing. All the work that you guys do. Definitely check that out. And as I said, when we get to the end, you guys will learn about where to check all of that out and where you guys can go support. As you mentioned, you've traveled a lot around the world and you've done so many different amazing things. Um, but if you could pick only a few, what do you think have been some of the most impactful moments throughout your career thus far?
I don't really know. Well, one thing I'll mention is that uh, when I first became a Baha'i, and then concurrent with that, I had an opportunity to go on this U.S. State Department sponsored tour. It was a 2 month tour to 9 countries in Africa, and so then I had in South Dakota at that time there was not really hardly any Baha'is or Baha'i communities or anything. So I hadn't really ever encountered a Baha'i community. And the first time was in Africa, in
Oh,
Senegal, So that was really an eye opener for me, was to see, all the, to go to Baha'i activities there. Well, not just Senegal, but all through Western and Central Africa. But that was the first place. We were in Dakar,
ooh,
and it was really amazing because in Dakar, the main pop ethnicity right there is Wolof. They're Wolof, but there was also a lot of Mandinka people there, and there's several other tribal groups there too. But so there, at the Baha'i gathering, it's huge, so many people there, and it was all generations there, and it was all just kind of like a festival of music and dancing.
ooh,
It's great, yeah. And there it was really amazing because I know that their languages are really different from each other, but they really took ownership of each other's cultures, and celebrated that and participated, and and the way that they were able to express the prayers, the writings in in a dramatic and a musical format. It was really it was a really amazing thing for me to introduction to Baha'i communities. That's I thought all Baha'is were like that. After that, and then one of the first things that we did there was that I guess whenever people come from someplace else, then they always love to go to the cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
And here we went and visited the cemeteries, and we'd have a feast there, and people would pray and people would sing, and they'd always go to those places where those original pioneers who had laid their lives down in that area, and they were very honored and esteemed. And I thought, that's great. What a great goal to go someplace else and to make a great contribution into that community that's different from your own community. So these are all really amazing concepts for me, and it was a great introduction to the faith, to the Baha'i faith, to do that. Not just in Senegal, but also we were in Cote d'Ivoire,
Mm-hmm.
Togo, Ghana, Brazzaville, Congo. Anyway, several countries all around there.
You've mentioned no matter where in the world you go, and through all these examples, we've seen how music and art and all of that has brought people together so much. My next question to you is for youth who want to pursue arts, who want to pursue education and or service as a career, but are not sure where to begin, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, very good question. It would go back to what I was mentioning earlier, is to find those unique capacities within yourself. Every one of us, we're all of us, we're unique creations, and we all have within ourselves all of the divine attributes. So every one of us is a repository of every divine attribute. But each of us is a unique combination of those. So even though we have all these capacities, but we're such a unique combination. So maybe we have these different combinations. So maybe for somebody, maybe justice
Mm-hmm.
is their outstanding quality. Maybe another one is like kindness, or another one's patience,
Mm-hmm.
or and so then we have to begin to identify those things within ourselves that really enable us to make that unique service or contribution in this world. And so to me, that's also the key to success and the key to happiness also.
Yeah.
Yeah, key to happiness, and also just perseverance as well. Perseverance. Yeah. And just keep on going. And now we have the world has this opportunity to hit the reset button with the pandemic, so we can refocus ourselves and rededicate ourselves to our reality, who we are, and to continue to develop that. And a new perspective on service as well. How can we best be of service in light of this new conditions in the world? It would just make somebody pause and think, what is our course as a human family, and what can we do now to do a course correction, to reset our focus?
We're seeing really how much the human race is one, and how much, we all do depend on each other, and how much we all need to care for each other. So
yes,
it has opened many venues for, I think, just like you said, for youth and for everybody to look into, how can I best serve humanity in a more global sense, and really examining us as global citizens. As this episode comes to an end, we have learned so much, but are there any last words of encouragement or advice you'd like to offer our audience?
Yeah. All I can say is that we have to really ground ourselves every day. I find ground ourselves there's so much, we're living in the middle of a big hurricane. This hurricane is all around us. We have to make sure we stay focused, stay in the eye of the hurricane where it's calm. And so we have to find ways to do that, through our daily practices, maybe prayer. Like for instance, myself, what I like to do is I like to go out and I like to do a lot of running. Like
Mhm.
every day I do that. Like this morning, not that, I mean, I'm not that fast anymore, but like this morning I did 4 miles, 4 miles. It takes me a little bit of time, but it's a good time to reset and to meditate and to refocus. And it's not only that, that's really a ancient practice here in North America, which is to do a daily prayer run, like you dedicate your run to a devotional theme or goal. You set that goal and then you make that prayer and then you take off. A lot of times, if you can, you go east, go towards the rising sun. But if you live in a urban setting, it might be harder to set that path. I don't know, but yeah. So, but no. But I'm just giving that as an example.
Yeah.
But the main thing is we have to reset ourselves and to become cognizant of our relatedness with all of creation. This is one of the major spiritual themes, eternal themes here in North America, is the interrelatedness of all creation, all the different kingdoms of God, how we're all interconnected, and how our actions affect not only our ancestors in the past, but of course into the future. So how we consult, how we behave, what we do, it has these systemic effects. And so we have to prepare ourselves every day, and like put on your suit of armor every day and get ready to face this world and to do our best. So, and to do that with a lot of joy, a lot of confidence, and a lot of determination. Yeah.
Well, thank you for all of that insight. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Would you be able to play us a little something um, from your flute?
Yeah. I can play a song here on the flute, and I'll do this one here. It's kind of I like it. It's from a little community over in Iowa, and it's called the Mishkwaki, or the Sac and Fox tribe. They're over there in Tama County, Iowa, but they have a really fantastic cultural, spiritual heritage. But it's a song. It's about the original songs on the flute are kind of like have to do with themes of romance, and so anyway, this is a song. It says in there, Negwinadawi kanapanaso, agamahek ekiwenewanan. So this person is saying that their Valentine is on the other side of the river, and they can't reach them. So it's just like maybe there's the river might be in the spring, might be deep, might be too wide, uh, might be too fast, and there's no bridge, there's no boat, and they can't. Maybe their internet went down or something. No, it's actually from the 19th century song, but anyway. And so the next song, it's the next verse is Gata Bena Kiwampamu Kiwi Hawanan. So the person says, so whenever you think about me, take your mirror and flash the light across. That way I know that you're thinking about me. So anyway, just like every culture has love songs, but it's the idea of that you want to connect with your beloved. You don't want to lose that connection with your beloved. So you can take it up onto like more of a metaphysical or a spiritual level too. See,
Yeah,
that's kind of the analogy. That's the idea.
very
So
beautiful.
yeah, but these are the songs that they use on the flute, for many generations here in North America. And people always ask me if I know how to play, if I can play the Native American flute. But actually, I don't know anything about the Native American flute because That's something that was invented around 1980, but it became so popularized. It's based on the shakuhachi, the Japanese wind instrument, and then it just became so well promoted and popularized that it just became ubiquitous. Everybody knows about this Native American flute, but it
Right.
has nothing to do with anything indigenous in North America. And
Wow.
I don't know about that, but I do know the original kind of flute that they've been using here. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing all these years. So here's an example of one of those kind of songs. I could do one from Lakota, but this is more one from further east, you know. Liquiditawena penaya soyo akama hek ekiwine wayanaya neye ayayoy liquiditawena penaya soyo akama hek ekiwine wayanaya neye ayayoy ay, ay, ay. Kana pena kiwaya pamuyo ne kiwi wawaya sene ya mawe na kiwi hawaye ne nikwi na tawe na pena ya soyo akama heke kiwi ne waya na ya ne. So all those songs they originate as a vocal composition. They're all songs that are sung, and then they're also can be played on the flute.
Mhm.
And so the Native American flute, since it's a Japanese scale, it's called it's a minor pentatonic scale. You can't play the indigenous songs on that Native American flute. You have to use the traditional flute.
So interesting. But that was
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful. Thank you for playing that for us and giving us some history
sure.
and background about it, um,
Yeah,
and learning more. So,
sure.
once again, thank you so much, Mr. Locke, for your time and insight today. Be sure to check out Mr. Locke's work and mission on his website, https://kevinlocke.com/ and follow him on his socials on Instagram at KevinLocke_official to stay updated with his latest projects and work. If you would like to learn more about the Patricia Locke Foundation and be involved, visit https://patricialockefoundation.org/. If you would like to donate and help out in support of the Community Garden Project and helping that expand to more youth, please check out the link https://www.gofundme.com/f/standing-rock-tower-gardens and help out and support this wonderful project and initiative. And lastly, if you'd like to check out the mini series about Indigenous culture, music, and sensitivity training and storytelling, among other topics, please check out the Patricia Locke Foundation and sign up for classes today. Thank you all for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast channel and follow us on our various platforms for updates and to ask questions that you would like us to consider to talk about. Until next time, I'm your host, Yara, and don't forget to continue challenging yourself and working to make your spirit soar to new heights. Bye!
Hey, thank you.